How good or bad is the Dragon Bleed skill? Tonight is a simple video where we will be talking about the Dragon Bleed skill and the boost this will have on a few commanders in Game of Thrones Winter is Coming. Dragon Bleed skill increases all bleed damage done by 10%, which will stack up to 15% in rallies. Explaining this is quite simple, as when a critical attack is triggered from one of your commanders, a bleed will be applied based on the damage of the critical, divided between 5 separate ticks of damage as long as Rhea is present. A critical which does 120% damage will have 5 ticks of damage, each dealing 24 of the total percent damage, and the Bleed Dragon skill will add an extra 10% damage on the stack. Not a boost of 10% on the 120% critical, rather increasing the 24%, now doing bleed damage of 26.4% per tick, totaling to an extra overall bleed damage of 12% total. We'll be applying this to Rhea total and a few other commanders now. As mentioned, starting with Rhea, who will trigger a crit every 20 attacks, or given every 4 seconds a bleed will be triggered at 120% damage. A total of 9 crits will be triggered, and around 43 to 44 ticks of bleed will be inflicted, since at the 36-second mark. Another bleed is triggered for only 3 to 4 ticks of damage, since the battle will only last 40 seconds. With this, her additional crit damage will be around 1.8 normal attacks worth of additional damage. And the ticks will be from 10.32 up to 10.56 normal attacks worth of damage, now adding the addition of the Bleed Dragon skill. This will increase to 11.35 to 11.62 normal attacks worth of damage. Moving on to Lario, who will be the same as Meryl in this regard still. All lineups have a 50% chance to trigger a crit every 4 attacks. Although this will heavily range, for this we will assume he will land a comfortable 15 crits. The bonus damage from the 120% crit damage will be 3 normal attacks worth. Additional, the total bleed tick damage from this skill will be around 18 normal attacks worth of damage, and with this skill, it will jump up to 19.8 normal attacks worth. And now moving on to John, who provides a 20% chance for your lines to trigger a crit for 150% damage, which is the current highest base level we have in the game. This lasts for 25 seconds of the battle. Generally, you will get around 25 to 30 critical attacks, leading to a total of 12.5 to 15 normal attacks of crit damage and 37.5 to 45 normal attacks from bleeds, which, adding on the Dragon Bleed effect, will be boosted to 41.25 up to 49.5, which is nearly a total of 2.5 overall damage increase for your lineup just from the Dragon skill. This skill is quite limited, and although it is a fair boost to your bleed damage, of course this will not take priority over more general skills like Reinforce, Enraged, and Reroute. It is possible more bleed commanders will come in the future that can more benefit from this skill, and it is possible to use this working with a hybrid female bleed setup to slightly increase John's effectiveness for that lineup, but this will not compensate the lost damage from the lost female commanders, and with more and more dragon skills which will come in the future, there may not be enough slots on your dragons to use this skill reliably. To summaries, you can expect about a 2 to 3% overall damage increase from this skill, but do not make it a priority to get this skill unless you have fairly developed the core of your bleed lineup and invested into more powerful general skills which will greatly boost your battle power or support your allies in their battles. That is all.